Hi, welcome to the Diablo Podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com, and this is a service of diabloinkgamers.com. I'm your host, Flux. I'm joined this week by Muggs.
Greetings and salutations.
And by Philter.
Howdy.
And Muggs, you were on show 72 back in July talking about ways to fix and improve Inferno, and now v1.0.4 is out. Did it live up to your hopes?
Oh, that's such a baited question. Yes and no.
Okay, we're going to get into all the details of that. Philter, you were on the show last week along with Dan Thar. It was both of your first appearances, and a number of comments said it was the best show ever, mainly because I said absolutely nothing.
I saw those.
You guys were both shot out of a cannon last week, and I just kind of let you talk.
Well, Witch Doctor's got a lot to say.
Yeah, that was funny. When I was doing the show, breaking down the time of each one starting. The Witch Doctor was like twice as long as any of the other ones. I'm like, funny how that worked out.
Yeah.
So you've been playing 104 as well. Are you happy with the changes to your beloved Witch Doctor and other stuff?
I am, to a point. I'm really glad about some of the diversity that they added in, but it still seems lacking compared to other classes as far as damage output.
Yeah, they only doubled every single skill and made them cast faster too. What more do you want?
Yeah.
And OP'd the pets. Anyway, we're going to talk about Paragon levels and Magic Find stuff, and then some general game changes in 104, and then we're going to run down all the characters except the monk because no one cares about the monk.
That's true.
True story.
Actually, we do care about the monk, because none of us happen to have played one yet.
Yeah.
So. Plus, we're probably going to go long anyway. I'd like to keep one of these under an hour, one of these days.
I'm all for it.
So just briefly, I played a fair amount of Demon Hunter, Magic Finding mostly, in Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 3 and Inferno, and I've played some experimentation with the Wizard and the Barbarian. What have you been up to, Philter?
I have been playing mainly my Witch Doctor and experimenting with 4 or 5 builds, trying out new stuff, and then I played around with my Barbarian with two-handers, and I love what they've done with two-handers. It's amazing. Whirlwind is awesome now, and the biggest change that I've noticed, though, is on the Demon Hunter side, and I'm not sure if you want to wait to get into that until the class changes, but Demon Hunters can kill things way, way quickly, and it's something I think that's going to be patched out.
And what have you been doing in Sin 104, Muggs?
I've been almost the exact opposite of Philter. I've been playing the shit out of my Barb. I got up to Paragon level 10. I've been playing a little bit of my Witch Doctor. I'm happy with some of the stuff that they did to the Barb, but it really doesn't change. None of the stuff that they've done has changed anything the way I play the Barb, or the way I was playing the Barb. The only thing that I've done recently is the new Rend is really nice, so I've kind of switched that out for Revenge because it's more user-friendly, but everything else I kind of play exactly the way I have before. I'm really enjoying the new Witch Doctor, but I haven't really pushed him that much because I can actually play him the way I leveled him, which is a lot of fun. I can use my pets, I can, use Asset Cloud and a couple other skills, and I don't feel like I have to run Vision Quest and have everything on cooldown to make them viable.
What are you guys' general thoughts on the Paragon levels? I posted that article about how it was basically, they said all that stuff about max levels. You don't need long-term goals. You don't need anything after level 60. It'll be plenty of fun, just achievements. And that proved to be the most inaccurate statement in the history of Blizzard, perhaps. And so now they put in this system where you can get, once you're level 60, you can get 100 more levels, each one of which gives you the same as stat bonus as always, and 3% more Magic Find and Gold Find every level forever. And so eventually at level 100, you hit this cap of 300 total Magic Find, and that's all you can get, and you will need 0 Magic Find gear to get the maximum possible Magic Find. And now that I've quickly speed run through something everyone already knew, how about you go first on this one, Muggs? What's your general thoughts on Paragon levels, level up speed, Magic Find bonus?
Level up speed is glacial, I guess we could say. I mean, I did some quick math and stuff like that, and myself doing a full clear of Act 3 gave me about 20 million Paragon XP. So, and I remember reading in one of the posts that you need 10 billion XP to reach level 100. So it's very slow going, depending on how quickly you can. And I can clear Act 3 quite quickly, depending on how quickly you can clear the act. It's going to take you about 500-600 Act 3 clears to get up to 100. So, so that is kind of a little daunting. I do like the fact that Magic Find is really included in there, and I really do like the fact that Gold Find is in there. But I was never really much of a Magic Finder anyway. I was be as powerful and kill as quickly as possible anyway. So it really appeals to me. I'm really curious to see, and I have a couple friends that have actually hit the cap because they were running with Magic Find already, to see how much of a difference it actually makes in drops in the long run. If that cap actually sees like the drop levels that people really are claiming they want to see in the game.
How about your general impressions, Filter?
I like the Paragon system with the respect that there's always something you're working towards. I think Jay Wilson said it in one of his things, like, people, if you don't find a good item in a playthrough, then it feels like you got nothing done. Well, with this, it still feels like you're kind of getting something done. And I really like that it harkens back to D2's, unreachable max level. I mean, it was reachable if you had bots or whatever, but I like that I'm always working towards something, and I haven't gotten anybody high enough. I think my Witch Doctor's 3 and my Barb is 2. So I haven't gotten anybody high enough to really notice the impact of the Magic Find and Gold Find, but for the future, I think that it'll be a really awesome change. And I love Magic Finding, so anything that will let me have my Magic Find but be able to kill faster is a great, great thing.
You mentioned the speed of the levels, Muggs. That was one of my first points on this. I was surprised how quickly I got to level 1. Like, it was like, well, already? This is going to be too fast. And then by, like, level 4, it's like, I played, like, 4 games, and I was still level 4. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, no, it slows down exponentially. It's like, glacial is the only way I can explain it.
It does step down really fast as far as speed.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so it's nice the first one's pretty quick, so you get a taste of it, and then it's like, oh, by like level 3 or 4, it's like, yeah, this is going to take me multiple games.
Here's a little bit of crack. You got to work for the rest.
Yes, exactly. We'll give you the first hit for free, and then you're going to work your ass off.
And they made a couple of interesting changes. Now Nephilim Valor stacks give you a 15% EXP bonus each stack. Obviously, that was not prior to 104 because there was no experience
right.
with Nephilim Valor stacks. So that's almost like a double incentive. It's Magic Find, and you feel bad if you don't have the stacks because you're getting a lot less experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
you don't get experience from quests in Inferno at level 60. So I think that's really why it takes so long to level, because a lot of it, a considerable amount of people's level up experience, including all of the exploits that people had where they were running, Zoltan Cool or whatever.
Asmodan.
Yeah, that was huge experience bonus, and you don't get any experience bonus for quests. Do you think they need to add experience bonus for quests back in?
I think they need to do something eventually because, getting your first character to maybe in the 50s or 60s or your second character in the 50s or 60s is going to take a long time. But what about when you want to get your third, fourth, and fifth characters up into that levels? I mean, you're talking about playing, the game pretty much nonstop for the next 6 years to get all 5 characters to Paragon level 100, if not longer. So, I mean, they definitely need to add something into the game to quicken it. Maybe like the second time you go through, you do it in half the time. The third time you do it, in a third of the time or whatever, or some kind of bonus that way.
It would be really nice to see bonus experience from quests, but at the same time, if you give bonus experience from quests, you see what people have done with it. You see the Zoltan Cool runs, you see the Asmodan runs, you see all these, not necessarily cheats, but it feels like that's not how the game's supposed to be played. I guess.
Given Diablo 2, that all we ever did were boss runs,
yeah,
that is how the game's supposed to be played.
That's what I was thinking exactly.
That's pretty much Diablo 1 also. You just run down to Lazarus all the time, and it's like, there's a long history of boss runs in the Diablo games, and they've tried to change that in D3, and, a lot of other things that they tried to change in D3, they're changing back because it wasn't such a good change.
Good point.
I mean, I like the idea of, random bosses, but as people always point out, it's kind of silly they're so much harder than the actual bosses.
Yeah, they're ridiculously harder.
Lords of Hell are not as good as a zombie.
The nerfs to in 104, the whole game is pretty simple now. But
I played a pretty long 4-player game with a few friends, and we did almost all of Act 1 and then Act 2 up to Magda. And it's like we had a couple of really tough parts in Act 2. You get like Illusionist, Vortex, Fire Chains, Wasps, or something. It's like, ugh. And then you get to Magda, and it's like, hey, you're dead in 5 seconds. It's like, I mean, I realize she wears butterflies, so you can't expect a whole lot from her, but
it was the anticlimactic.
It's like, what?
It was anticlimactic, the bosses.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's been easy all along, but it's very obvious. And occasionally you get like some random purple boss that appears, and they're just like, what? Like they're not even bosses, you know? They just you don't even see their names sometimes. They're dead so fast.
Yeah, those rares and special bosses, I think they need to have the same drop rules as elites and champions. Because seriously, they're just garbage. They're not even worth killing.
And a lot of them have cool special functions, but you don't even see them because they die so fast.
Yeah, they add a lot of flavor to the world, but you don't care about them because they're a normal mob plus.
Yeah, maybe a tuning pass on those, because they were really fun when you got the ones in the beta. It was like exciting and new and different, but they're just really underpowered, it seems like, in the full game.
Oh, totally.
I agree.
So speaking of experience gain, are you guys trying to add additional experience from equipment?
Yes, I have a...
Do you have the ruby hat?
Yeah, I have a ruby in my home. I have the one just under the 20 million gold ruby, so the 29% plus experience.
But you're getting 75% just from your stacks.
Yeah, I'm getting 103% with full stacks.
Yeah. So is it worth going, or you could easily just put a topaz in and get 29% or 25% or something magic find, which is like 8 levels of Paragon. So is it worth being 20, 30, 27% faster or something instead of just going ahead and getting 8 levels immediately from your topaz?
When I talk about the glacial pace of things, I would like to cut the amount of time that it would take me to level by 100%, and that's what I'm doing. So I think it's worth it, and I think it'll repay itself. Plus, gems don't ever go bad, so when I'm done with it, I just hand it over to one of my other characters too.
Do we need to get experience gain stuff on equipment now for Paragon levels? Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't get the plus 25 per kill stuff once you're level 60. That stops dropping. But maybe they should put that back in now that we're on Paragon levels. Well,
there is a low-level ring, a legendary ring. I forget the name of it, but it gives 20 to 30% increased experience. And they're going for a ton. Yeah, it's a 20 to 30% one. I'll tell you right now what it's called. It is Leoric Signet. It'll roll, increases experience by 20 to 30%. It's level 14. So.
And you can wear 2 of those. Oh, wait, no, you can't.
No, yeah, unique equip. But a lot of those things are going for a ton on the auction house right now.
I haven't been going for plus XP because I figured it'll take long enough for me to get there anyway. I might as well just slowly switch out the magic find. I might have to start doing the plus XP because you're right. It's just insanely slow to level. So maybe that's my problem.
I mean, maybe we need another range of modifiers. Just, like 1 to 5% EXP could pop on all kinds of items, like the way Magic Finder stuff does now.
Or they give us XP shrines again, or maybe somebody mentioned that maybe just add plus experience to all shrines, so you can have protection plus experience, or frenzy plus experience, or something along those lines.
If they did add a plus experience modifier back in, they'd have to make some sort of higher level one, like plus 100 XP or plus 200.
I was thinking percentage.
Yeah, it'd have to be a percentage.
Oh,
you need 300 million, you need 500,000 monster kills to go to 1 level,
Yeah, true.
Plus 20 isn't going to make, a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I think it was 8 million dust imps, or somebody figured it out from Act 2. That's what you need to kill.
That's like 2 runs through the Forbidden Desert. Maybe 3. So the max magic find cap is at 300% now. They didn't used to have a max cap, and now we do. But you can get higher with Nephilim Valor stacks, and currently you can also get higher if you have experience, have it on your mercs or your followers. And that's a bug. Are you guys? I mean, it seems kind of. We were all saying, "Oh, you'll be maxed out at Paragon level 100," but of course, as you pointed out, that'll take you 6.5 years to reach. So maybe it's kind of pointless, but you can get to level. You can look forward to getting to like level 20 or 30 Paragon without too much enormous amount of time, and that's like 60 or 80% magic find. But that means you still need 220 or 240% in your gear, which is quite a bit.
Right.
So is this almost irrelevant? It'll take you so long to get to like level 60 Paragon that would really make a difference that it almost doesn't matter that they've made this change. It just feels good.
It's immediately irrelevant, but it's not irrelevant for the long term. I mean, thinking out 4 or 5 years from playing this, who knows? Maybe it'll actually start to make a difference.
I play with a lot of guys that actually stack a ton of Magic Find, and they're happy because they're hitting Paragon level 15 and able to change out a piece of gear to give themselves more DPS. So they're already at the cap. They're running around at the cap, and they're just every time they level up, they get rid of another piece of gear. So then they go from there. So they're really happy with the cap because it changes the way they're playing in the long run.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
Well,
I mean, but they're already at the 375. You know, they were close to it before. They were spending all their gold in the auction house buying Magic Find gear that was viable in Act 3 Inferno. Meanwhile, they're not finding any drops, by the way.
Yeah, that was my next question. How you dropping?
Yeah, I found
so many so closes, but nothing good yet.
I found 2 legendaries and Natalia's Sight from the set piece for Demon Hunter so far.
Dang.
Any of it usable?
The Natalia site I sold for 20 million or something like that. The one polearm was absolutely useless, so it became a fiery brimstone. And the other weapon is actually the Blade of Prophecy. It's on my Enchantress now. So she, it's the one with Gold Find and Magic Find on the weapon.
Well, you go to 382% now.
Yeah.
You can exceed the cap until they fix it. I have found 2 legendary level 60s, both of which had a bad roll and sucked. So I got 2 more fiery brimstones, but that was like as many as I'd found in the previous 3 months total. So, and I found tons of, like one of you guys just said, almost goods. Like I keep getting one-handed stuff that's like 850, 900 damage with like crappy stats. It's just not quite there.
Yeah, I think today the best thing that I found was like a 900 DPS crossbow with plus 300 strength and crit damage and something else. But it was like, if that strength was dex, I could sell that for a lot of money.
I have that argument with myself all the time. If this stat was only this, I could have made a ton of money. Sorry.
Yeah, well, everyone else has the same argument. So I did find a bow upgrade, which I was really happy with. Best weapon I found in the game. It doesn't have the super high damage. It's like 1086, but it's got huge critical IAS and like 3 other really good stats.
The one from your write-up?
Yeah, I put the picture in. It was better than what I was using anyway.
Congrats, man.
And it's made it a weird sense because I have my Demon Hunter now has like 300 and something% critical hit damage.
That's really good.
But not very high critical hit, except obviously when Sharpshooter clicks in. So it's weird. So my normal damage is like, 18, 20k, and every crit is like 85k. So it's a strange experience where it'll take me like 3 or 4 shots to kill a monster unless it crits, in which case I one-shot everything. So it's very feast or famine, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of how my Barbarian is right now. Because she has, well, kind of. She's based on crit, and she's a kind of a whirlwind barb. So if I don't hit something and crit, it takes like 3 hits to actually kill it. But if I actually crit on it, then it one-shot stuff. So I know that feel.
One last thing on the Paragon system. Is this influencing you guys to just play one character? Like you want to get that one character to level 20 instead of getting 3 characters to level 6?
Yes, 100%. So I find myself, I want to play my Witch Doctor. I'm like, I'll play my Witch Doctor for a little bit. And the whole time I'm playing my Witch Doctor, I'm like, I could be leveling my Barb. That's all I keep thinking. So.
Yeah, I think you said you had a 3 and a 2 filter.
Yeah, It hasn't really influenced me very much. The only 2 characters that I really like to play are my Witch Doctor and my Barb, so I'll probably be playing them equally. Like I said, this Paragon leveling system, because it takes so long to level, is such a long-term plan that it doesn't really influence how I'm playing right now, because eventually both of them will get there. Just takes time.
I'm with Muggs on this one. I really just went to my Demon Hunter. She has my best gear, my best magic find. And so I think she's Paragon 6 now, and it's like I forced myself to play like 2 hours each of Barb and Sorceress, whatever the new version of Sorceress is called, the Hermione class. And I just kept wanting to. I'm like, this is a waste of time. I could have gotten Paragon 7 by now, And it's like, even though I was trying, plus I was trying all these different skills just to experiment with stuff. And so every time I'm back in town, I'm resetting my stacks to switch skills. It's like, nah. I'm losing all my bonus experience and my magic find, and I'm not playing a character that'll be finding better gear in the first place. But other than that, it was great. I'm
right there with you. I'm absolutely. I mean, my Barb is sitting somewhere around 80 85,000 DPS, and I can just stroll through Act 3 and Act 4 and like have my way with it, and then I get on my Witch Doctor, which is sitting at measly 20,000 DPS, and I feel like I can't do anything or find any loot, or it takes me too long to kill things, and I just get bored, and I'm not leveling.
What barb build are you using, man?
It's a standard like frenzy barb. I'm sitting on 50% to crit and like a 400% critical hit damage.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. No like whirlwind, nothing fancy. Just frenzy, rend, battle rage, war cry kind of barb.
And you're a dirty auction house whore.
Yes, my barb is very dirty auction house. My witch doctor is 100% self-found, but my barb is a very dirty auction house slut.
But all the self-found was found by your dirty slut barbarian.
Right, yeah. All the self-found was found by my barb. My barb basically geared up my witch doctor.
Are you going two-hander or dual wield or?
Right, I would like to get two-hander, but I haven't found one that actually fit my playstyle. So when I find that one, it'll have to be like a Scorn with lifesteal for me to switch, or something along those lines.
So before we get to the individual character stuff, a little bit about the monsters. You guys are mentioning, I think it's almost too easy in some ways now. They've like Frozen is easier, Molten's easier, Mortar's easier. You can see what the danger zones are. And they've lowered all the hit points. And especially, I really noticed it playing a 4-player game. We were just plowing through the monsters. Nobody had very good equipment or characters.
Yeah.
And even in Act 2, we were just chewing stuff up, very much easier than playing solo.
For the first time when I was playing co-op with one of my friends, we killed a champion pack, and I didn't even know what they had on them. We killed them so fast.
3 yellow rares, probably. That's what mine usually have on them.
3 yellow rares, and they're all 54.
Yeah, of course.
But
or they're 63 and they suck. Even more fun.
It did really seem like champions and elite packs are not as strong as they used to be for some reason.
Well, they're not. They lowered their hit points.
Well, no, yes, but they lowered it by so little that it didn't seem like it would make that much of a difference, but it really did.
Well, not only that, but then the 75% per person versus 110%. When we're in a 4-person game, we actually kill faster than when I'm by myself, which is completely opposite of how it was before. So it's like you just plow through, you just kind of rush through the whole game going as quickly as possible. It's actually enjoyable.
Even with 4 characters, none of whom were very well geared, we had no problem just plowing through Act 1 and then half of Act 2, which I was surprised by.
I need to find 2 other people to play with, apparently.
There you go. The other thing I've really noticed that's nice is that the monsters don't have that auto full heal the second you leave the screen now.
God, yes.
Yeah, that is nice. Although I don't die anymore, so I guess it's a non-issue.
Yeah, I've had a few of those with my Demon Hunter doing stuff. Like I was doing the Den of the Assassin, whatever it's called, Assassins or whatever. The big monster one in Act 2. And it's really easy, except I get the goddamn invisible Naga packs, and those are like really dangerous with a Demon Hunter because they're invisible and you can't shoot them at a distance until they're stabbing you with their little pitchforks. And a couple of times I would have to dash back out the exit with everything on cooldown at like 1 hit point. And you sit there for 20 seconds and heal up and go back in, and they're not all back to full health, and you can finish them off. I'm like, this is nice. I can cheat this. I mean, I can use this as a strategic effort to win.
Good catch.
Yeah.
I really like that they aren't healing completely because then it feels like on the really tough packs, the last like 5 or 6 minutes of struggle was totally in vain.
Yeah, especially if you died when they were almost dead, and then you run back.
Yeah, that was obnoxious. Very much so.
And that was just the Jay Wilson to Dave Brevik moment right there.
Those guys.
Yeah. As easy as multiplayer is now, well, easier anyway, do you feel like solo player is kind of like the real game? I was not even using that much strategy in multiplayer. I found myself changing. Like I was playing a wizard for a while, and I couldn't even, like, you can't target meteor and stuff very well. So I ended up using just like AoE stuff like I was using electrocute a lot because I couldn't target anything with all the chaos and they were dying really quickly. So I was just kind of standing back and using AoE things that were sure to hit, and using a build that I would never use playing solo. But solo, you really need to use strategy and skill and move things around. Unless you're a dirty auction house horde, it becomes too easy. But it almost seems like multiplayer now is not as skill-based. Like it's just sort of a chaotic Zerg rush.
I think it depends on... You were playing a public game, weren't you?
No, it was with 3 people I know.
Oh, okay. Because I play all the time with a bunch of people on Mumble, and we kind of, cooperate, and like it never. I mean, it feels like we're moving faster because that's the way they like to play, is like rush through the game as quickly as possible. But and it's definitely easier. But it seems, I guess, more relaxing is the case. Like there's less to worry about. Like you don't have to stress. Like if you die, you can be rezzed or port back or do whatever, and it almost feels like D2 almost used to back in the day, where if like you died, it didn't matter. You just had somebody open a TP and you just kept going.
I feel like it's much more of a skill challenge and more enjoyable when I was playing solo, because I really have to work hard not to die a lot of times.
When I'm playing, I mean, no, I'm a dirty auction house whore, so I mean it's a little different. But when I'm playing solo, things die so quickly. I can play. The other day I was just laughing because I was on a conference call and I was playing with one hand running through Act 3. You know, I mean, it wasn't even pushing the buttons. I was just kind of clicking and going through the game. So I mean, it really wasn't that difficult. So I don't really think there's that much more strategy. And the new stuff, like you said, all the changes where you can visually see the frozen orbs. I can actually stand in an arcane beam and not die. Like I can stand in like 2 or 3 arcane beams and they won't kill me. You know, versus before, if I even like looked at one the wrong way, I was dead. Molten has that big visual cue, like when they go to blow up, that like if you can't see that thing's going to blow up, you got issues. And you know, everything else. So they've kind of expanded the whole hand holding, and they've nerfed the damage so much that it's almost a non-issue.
Are we all going to think this is too easy in 3 months? When everyone gets 10 more Paragon levels and you're gaining stats with every level?
I think it's
better
too easy
gear?
now. But that's just me.
Well, you should give away all that auction house stuff and play self-found. You'd find a new challenge.
Well, I am. That's what my witch doctor's for. I just
your witch doctor's your Barbarian's garbage can.
But it's all self-found, so I mean, it's not like trust me. I think about it all the time. I'm like, he could really use some life on hit, or he could really use some of this and some of that. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy anything. I mean, his ceremonial dagger has 200 dexterity on it, so.
That
God,
witch doctor can dodge.
Mm-hmm.
And juggle as well. Okay, so specific character stuff. Demon Hunter. Have you tried out the other, bolo shot, other changes they've made to those lower level ones? The hatred generators? I have not.
I haven't. I haven't even touched my Demon Hunter since the patch.
My girlfriend has. She says that there isn't too much of a noticeable difference, honestly. She's pretty much stuck with Hungering Arrow. She used Bolo Shot for a little while, but it feels pretty much the same as it used to.
Yeah, they put a 5% boost on Evasive Fire, which was already, I think, the best skill. So it's even better, but 5% you don't really notice anyway.
Yeah.
The one skill that's really cool I've seen, I was playing the other night and Azure was using it, was playing the Sentry Chain of Torment, which basically makes a fire chain between a spot you pick. And they greatly increase the damage and they increase the range of it. So you can plant this and then run past monsters or vault over them or back up, and when they run towards you, it's really a fun play mechanic. Just because it makes positioning a whole valid thing, which you never worried about before so much.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun when she was using it. I was like, oh, maybe you should try using that, see if that's any fun. But she was stuck on Trail of Cinders. Did you see that change to that?
Yeah, I can try that. Yeah, 1,500 damage over 3 seconds.
She kills stuff faster than my Whirlwind Barb does. She killed stuff faster than anything my Witch Doctor can throw out. That skill, if you have enough discipline regeneration, the game's over.
Yeah, you just vault through stuff and make your little fire trail.
It kills stuff so ridiculously fast. She dropped it down on the Warden. I didn't even get a shot on him before he died.
So, pro tip for those listening at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, I got to level my Demon Hunter and get this spell, get the old Natalia set.
It's a ridiculous amount of damage. You can basically be an old school Firewall Sork again.
Of course, it's a pretty high discipline cost.
It's a high discipline cost, but you need to do like one. You need to do 1 or 2 of them, and you kill an entire pack.
And I imagine you could just retreat and they'll run over it to get to you.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the original intent of the spell is, vault away and then put some damage on guys. Just like the sprint with the wind. Run like the wind. It's just to put damage on guys as you run away from them. But at 1,500% weapon damage or over 3 seconds, that's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage.
And imagine if the Demon Hunter had a proc that regenerated discipline immediately every time you got a critical hit or something. It's like you could just, you'd be like a barbarian, just do that nonstop. Vault, 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 vault. Hey, everything's dead.
Well, if you have Nat set,
the old Nat set, not the new one.
Yeah, if you have old Nat set, I'm pretty sure that you can just become a Cinder DH and be totally good to go.
And you can, of course, take 3 seconds to shoot between them. I don't know if they stack or not, but I don't know if you need to stack.
I haven't noticed that they stack.
So you just vault, shoot for 3 seconds, vault, shoot for 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
To try that out at some point. I haven't got a chance to do that yet.
You'll enjoy it.
Okay, I guess that's it for Demon Hunter. Any other Demon Hunter thoughts? We're zooming right along on these.
Not really.
Yeah, I haven't really played much Demon Hunter.
Yeah, that's why you're on the podcast. Okay, Wizard. Either you guys played any Wizard yet?
Yeah, I played a little. I play with 2 really good wizards, and I played with my wizard just a little bit. So.
Did you notice the new shiny colors of Hydras? I mean, they're all the same, but you're actually a reason to use them now.
Yeah, everybody I know is still doing that whole critical mass build. You know, the whirlwinds and spam a bunch of frozen Frost Novas. Yeah, and keep everything perma-frozen and just kill it.
Which they, in theory, nerfed by lowering the procs on the Wicked Wind, but apparently that's not been such a problem.
Yeah, no, not at all. Actually, they said they nerfed Wicked Wind, but one of the other runes they actually left untouched, and that's what everybody's gone to. So not the one where the tornadoes stand in place, but the ones that they move around. I forget what it's called.
There was much gnashing of teeth and rending of garments and QQing, and now it doesn't matter at all. It's still the most popular build. But you need really high critical hit chance to do it, so it's kind of a...
And Arcane on crit care.
Yeah. And, of course, the whole update we talked about last week was, 87 flavors of Hydra, and it's like no one uses it anyway. I tried those out in a game, and the lightning one's kind of cool now. It does like a electrocute thing, where it locks onto the target and kind of zaps it. And they look cool, but, I didn't really honestly notice a whole lot of difference between them. And also, Arcane Torrent was changed, and it's got a new graphic that's kind of more splashy and cool, but I still can't see ever using it because you have to stand still to do it. It's great in a party, but by yourself, and then much the same with Meteor. It's too hard to target stuff with Meteor unless they're tanking on somebody else, in which case it's awesome. So they made these changes that I don't really see how they're going to be used, and as you just pointed out, the highest level wizard build doesn't use any of them anyway.
Right. No, they haven't. It's been completely unchanged.
And the thing I was noticing is the signature skills seemed like they didn't really get that much of a change. Like all of the sort of the basic attack spells for the Witch Doctor got huge tune-ups because they needed them, of course.
And they're
but the
really
wizard,
nice now.
Yeah, but the wizard, it's like, I was like trying to use like different forms of charged bolt and magic missile, and they're all just kind of the same as they were. And I guess they didn't need to be changed because no one uses them anyway. But it seems like the basic sense of a wizard, maybe that stuff could use some improvements, and the higher level skills they're twinking with that no one's really using anyway. So.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there. I mean, before the wind-up wizard became popular, everybody was doing the Hydra Blizzard. And so I'm sure there's some of them out there. You just don't find any of them. At least they have the option if they decide to play that way, or less efficiently, I guess you could say it.
Well, the problem is like all the best build is very specialized equipment with huge critical hit stuff. And if you don't have the budget for that, or you're not playing the game a ton, and you don't know what the equipment requirements are, then it's all new and different and exciting. It seems like they kind of the same thing with the Barbarian, where they made all the changes for the lower level stuff that no one cares about at the really highest level of build.
Exactly. Pretty much.
And speaking of Barbarian, you guys have been playing some Barbarian. How do you like the changes? Irrelevant?
Inconsequential, I guess would be a good word. I haven't changed my build. The only thing I've changed is gone to the new Rend with Bloodlust, which heals me because it's 700% weapon damage over 5 seconds now, versus using Revenge. Because it's more, I can use it on like caster mobs that like to run away, and I can use it when I want as opposed to waiting for a proc in order to heal myself up. Other than that, I haven't changed anything whatsoever in my build. I tried the new Bash. It just felt slow and cumbersome. I tried the new Hammer of the Ancients, and I just felt like I was at a Fury all the time. I mean, it didn't feel like it was really worth the damage output for like just one little hit. I tried a couple of the other ones, and I didn't feel that they put them up to the point where my Barb already was. I felt like everything was like a sidestep. Okay, well, I can play with Bash now, or I could play with Cleave, but I don't even come near to do the damage of Frenzy and Sidearm and Rend now. It's just I can't even touch it with my current build.
I love the Rend. I
It
tried
looks
it out.
awesome too.
Yeah, the
I
Rend is
tried
really
it out
nice.
with the healing, and I couldn't believe the survivability that I gained. I actually swapped it out in my Whirlwind build. I swapped it out for Whirlwind, or to replace Whirlwind, just because of the amount of healing that it has. It heals you. It adds 4% of your weapon damage per target per second.
And it lasts for 5 seconds per use, right?
5. Yeah, 5.
Yeah,
So-
it's 700% weapon damage over 5 per target.
So it gives
And
you
you can tag
4%.
like 10 things if they're close.
It gives you 4% of your weapon damage per target in the HPS, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And you can hit lots of things at once with it, and it's very quick to cast.
Oh, yeah.
No,
And
yeah,
it's
you can hit
relatively
it.
cheap, too.
Yeah, it's I don't remember what it is actually. It is
Not much.
pretty. Yeah, it's not heavy at all. And if you use it with Wrath of the Berserker, which I still love Wrath of the Berserker with Insanity, I can, I basically pop Wrath of the Berserker and Rend and watch the champ pack like melt away around me.
So they made big improvements to Bash and Cleave, and I tried both of them with a number of runes, and they just still feel, even with much more damage on Cleave, Frenzy just feels so much better. It's so much faster, I guess.
You can't compete with Frenzy, especially even Frenzy with Sidearm. It's just it's the 75% attack speed is just such a damage boost that even if you're damaging everything around you, it just doesn't compete in any way, shape, or form. And like they tried to say that I think it was you need 3 stacks of Frenzy in order to get up to the point where it equals 1 Bash, but you get 3 stacks of Frenzy, if you're dual wielding like I am in a matter of seconds. It's 1, 2, 3, bam. And you're going full on everything out there. So you're always doing more damage than anything else.
I used to use Bash with extra Fury on my two-hander barb, just because the slow attack speeds means that getting Fury is a lot harder. So I'd use it to get the extra Fury, and I tried switching to Cleave, and I tried switching to some other Bash runes, and I'm not getting the Fury that I need as quickly. Especially because they reduce the amount of Fury that rune gives you in Bash. So I have to stay with getting the Fury rune in Bash to fuel my two-hander.
I thought that was a funny change, because it used to be 6 Fury with Bash and 6 with the rune, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's 8 Fury with Bash and 4 with the rune.
Yes, so it's the
Like,
same.
why would you ever use that rune now?
Yeah.
It's like, they increased the regular Bash. I figured that one would increase too. It'd be like 16 total. It'd be like, okay, this is really an option now.
Yeah, no, it should have been.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Speaking of rune effects, I was noticing with Frenzy, it seems like they gave Frenzy intentionally really crappy rune effects. Like, it's such a good skill already. I mean, like the 2 best options are 4% more damage, or you throw an axe at stuff occasionally for 110%, I think?
Yeah, it's 110% weapon damage. Sidearm's actually amazing.
That's the most effective one by far. But I mean, you look at how good many other rune effects are. I mean, you could use the base Frenzy, and it would still be better than Bash or Cleave, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, imagine if Frenzy had, like, one of the effects was like, critical hit bonus, or, multiple target hits, or 6 stacks of Frenzy, that kind of thing.
Depending on how many hits it takes for you to kill stuff, the Cleave with the Blood Explosion is pretty nice to clear packs out.
Yeah, but there's so many other AoEs. I mean, now that Rend is so good, wouldn't you just use Rend and Frenzy instead of Cleave and whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, maybe
Well,
they
the
added
Bash
other
that increases your overall damage is a lot of two-hander guys are starting to use Bash. That there's one that stacks and increases your damage, and then they use that with Rend, so they couple that because it really increases their damage with the two-hander. But I still couldn't see myself leaving Frenzy with Sidearm. Because when that Sidearm procs, even if it's on a single mob, it just does so much damage. And
Have you ever gotten that against a missile dampening?
Yes, and it sits there, and you see
it's a really cool effect.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I got that once, and I had like 10 axes just floating in like one place. I wish I had a video of it. And so Rend now is 700 weapon damage over 5 seconds, which is lots.
Right.
Yes.
And as one of you guys just mentioned, I was thinking that would be amazing with like a 1500 two-handed weapon. I mean, that would just be ridiculous.
Right now, according to when I have Wrath of the Berserker up, 1 Rend does 352,000 damage. So, and my crits tick for right around 120,000, I'll see like 120,000 take off on a Ren crit. So I couldn't imagine it getting more powerful.
It's on multiple targets.
Yeah, that's on everything that's around me.
Yeah, I think Rend is going to be a requirement for most two-hander builds from now on just because of the amount of damage.
Yeah, the heal is amazing. Like, I'll run in there now, and I was actually just talking about it. I'll run in, engage a mob, I'll be at half health. And, like, there'll be a bunch of mobs, and I'll just kind of rend them and run around the corner and heal up to full and then go back and fight.
Yeah, if you're fighting an Arcane Enchanted pack, you just rend once and you can ignore the bulbs.
Seeing stat rolls of like 200-300, and the increased critical hit damage for Scorn, for example. I mean, there's a couple Scorns on the auction house. I've taken a look at them with 190% critical hit damage plus a socket. So from one weapon, and you throw 100% emerald in there, and you're looking at 300% critical hit damage, which is huge. You know, it's a massive amount of damage, especially you talk about that little DPS number on your charts. So that's really made them very, very viable.
Yeah, basically you can take any stat that used to roll on a two-hander or that rolls on a one-hander currently and double that value, and that can roll on a two-hander. Like, I've been looking around for a good I love Life Leech for some reason, and I've been looking around for a good hammer with 6% Life Leech on it, just because that would be amazing to have.
Yeah, I run exclusively Lifesteal. I don't use Life on Hit actually at all.
Yeah, I've never liked Life on Hit. I use it with my Tank Doctor, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I use it. It's when you reach with my Barb. I noticed when I got around 70,000 DPS above that, Lifesteal started outshining Life on Hit, because I would hit so hard that I would just one-shot mobs, so I wasn't getting any Life on Hit back. But if I hit them hard enough, for a big enough crit, like say 140k on a Frenzy crit, then it would heal me up significantly. Yeah,
I remember seeing math right around when the game came out. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, Life on Hit is so good, and it's going to be better than Life Leech forever." And look, only when you get up to these numbers of DPS does Life Leech start to shine, and we're reaching those numbers now. So
yeah, and well, they were correct until you get to these numbers, and now the people are getting these numbers.
Yeah, I love Life Leech. I always have. I was really sad when I found out in D2 when I was younger that in Hell it's decreased in the Life Leech amount is decreased in Hell. That made me so sad.
And it was still awesome, though. You just had to get more.
Oh, yeah. You just had to get, 10 times the amount.
Okay, any other Barbarian thoughts, guys?
Something that annoys me with the little Paragon windows now, you can't see when you have a buff on a teammate. So that's actually started to bother me, because I can't tell when my Warcry falls off somebody that I'm playing with. Because of the little Paragon window now that's up. They took all the buffs off your screen. You can't see what you're giving to other people.
There are no shared skills in Diablo 3, so that's irrelevant. Oh, wait. So, Witch Doctor. You guys have both played a little Witch Doctor. I have not, so this will be like last week's show. One of you guys can just take it right away.
I'm really enjoying the Witch Doctor changes. I've been messing around with Corpse Spiders because they changed Corpse Spiders to immediately attack targets in the vicinity, and they move faster when they've acquired a target. The animation for throwing the jar feels much more natural. It feels less like the Witch Doctor's holding on to it forever before he throws. Spiders are really good for damage. They said that they included Life on Hit triggers and that they can proc some other stuff from them, but I tried Spiders with my Tank Doctor, and I wasn't getting any Life on Hit procs. So,
really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a bug or what, but if I was... What?
Working as intended?
Yeah, working as intended. And then, let's see, I tried a Spirit Barrage build with Grasp of the Dead, and I'm loving the new Vision Quest. It feels like I can actually use all my abilities, and I find myself including Vision Quest in almost every new build that I'm coming up with.
I thought it was funny that they said we don't want people to be using Vision Quest or feel that they have to use Vision Quest, and then they made Vision Quest so awesome that all the Witch Doctors are actually using Vision Quest again.
I never find myself running out of mana except when I'm doing a blatantly mana heavy or mana drinking Dire Bats build. That's the only time I find myself running out of mana. Even, like, I don't feel like need to use Vision Quest, but it's always really nice to have. So, let's see, what else? Pets. Oh, my God.
Pets are massively improved.
Pets are awesome.
Amazing now. But they're not overpowered feeling. They feel like they're supposed to. They feel like they did normal, basically, which is how it should be. Like, I've seen my dogs die. I've seen my gargantuan get really low. So they're not invincible, but they're definitely pretty awesome. However, I have switched out, for one of my main abilities, I used to use Hex for my tank doctor as one of his skills. I've switched that out for the zombie dogs that leech life, because with the amount of armor and resist that I have and the life leech that they get, they never die, except when things can kill them in one hit. Which actually, even though they put the cap on damage to pets, I found that the fallen zealots, or whatever, the guys that blow themselves up,
the fallen maniacs?
They still kill pets in one hit.
They
Regardless
one-shot
of the
me. They one-shot my barb all the time. That's the only... If I'm running through the keep depths, too, that's the only thing that'll kill me, is one of those guys.
So I don't know why that is going over the pet's armor or damage cap, but it is. So
there was a blue post that said some things that, like Desecrator kind of thing, or fire on the ground from the mages in Act 2, could kill pets because it's lots and lots of damage really quickly.
Yeah, but this is a giant explosion. I thought about that. I was like, well, maybe they calculate it as a bunch of little numbers at once, but that wouldn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, it's probably just some weird bug in how the damage is calculated that doesn't fit with their
Yeah,
rules.
maybe it's a certain special kind of damage in their code that doesn't get caught by that rule.
Those are the most obnoxious things in the game anyway. They should just be completely removed if they want to make it easy.
Or, like, nerfed to the point where they only take half your health instead of all your health. Because it feels like if you don't have something to prevent them from reaching you, or you run away fast enough, you're dead. Period.
Well, it's when you're fighting other mobs, you're in a pack of mobs, and they'll come in, and they have a no clip. So they'll just run right through all the mobs and run right to you. You don't even see them. Then all of a sudden you said, you'll see your barb has been killed by a fallen maniac, and you're like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm progressing my Witch Doctor through Act 3 Inferno right now, and I'm really scared to take any build that doesn't have wall of zombies in it, just because of those.
Well, it does carry over the tradition of Diablo 2, where those goddamn undead fetish would just pop out of nowhere and nuke you in Act 3.
Those things.
Yeah, exactly. Those things will just rock you.
Yeah.
It was always fun when you got hit by one, and then you went to whirlwind the next monster to get your health back, and it was another one, and then you got to die.
Yeah.
Looking at the Witch Doctor patch notes, it seemed like every skill got just a huge boost in damage. I mean, like all the basic stuff. Just a couple I noted. Zombie Charger Leprous Zombie went from 25% weapon damage for 3 seconds to 240% weapon damage over 3 seconds. Spirit Barrage Manitou went from 560 over 20 seconds to 1667 over 20 seconds. Soul Harvest Vengeful Spirit went from 70% to 230%. And everything else is like double, 50%, 100% more. It seems like just massive across the board boost to Witch Doctor. Have you guys been trying out the other, attack spells, Fire Bats, Firebomb, all this kind of stuff?
I've been wanting
the faster casting speed as well.
Oh, I did notice the Firebomb is greatly improved. I love using Firebomb and stuff.
Does it feel like it was in beta? Because in beta it was amazing. It was like my favorite skill in beta ever.
It doesn't feel, I guess, as ridiculously powerful, but it feels like it's, okay, I can take darts or Firebomb. Like, if you're doing a build that has really high single target damage, like a Haunt build or something like that, then you can go, okay, this will up my AoE damage a little bit, and it's totally usable, especially if you take Pierce the Veil with it, too. I noticed also that the Firebomb rune that makes the little column of fire that shoots fire at things, that's actually not too bad now. I'm trying to figure out a way to make a build with that. Maybe I'll combine that with Manitou, and I'll just have an AoE kill anything around me.
Yeah, actually, from what I understand, it'll keep, as long as that little guy's out, Vision Quest will stay up and refresh itself automatically on you. So it's a good way to keep Vision Quest going.
Yeah, I was looking at either I didn't know if that was the case. I'd have to experiment with it, but that's good to know. I was looking at using, just to keep the Vision Quest up really easily, use the Pyro, whatever the one that makes a pool of fire, because as long as that fire is out, I think it keeps Vision Quest up.
But I'm like you. I went with corpse spiders. I absolutely love them. Leaping spiders is like my new favorite skill in the game. I just use them all the time. Just cast them, and they do massive amounts of damage. The cast time feels so much faster than it used to. It just feels so much more natural. And I went back to Acid Cloud because it was always my favorite skill.
Even blazing spiders that do more damage, because they can run faster, they can outrun treasure goblins when they're running around. The fact that spiders can now run faster when they have a target makes any of the spiders actually usable.
Well,
but leaping spiders is very cool.
I always felt like with witch doctors, they said, okay, well, everybody else has got these signature spells that don't cost anything, to use the wizard thing. So let's make all this witch doctor stuff do signature stuff. But in the beta, it was never intended. Like corpse spiders actually cost a lot of money, mana. Firebomb actually costs a lot of mana, so it was more like you cast it every once in a while, but you did massive damage, and it feels like they never modified it to be a signature spell, and now they actually feel like they were supposed to work the way they were intended to, or after the change.
And I love that they changed the mana for frogs, because before it felt like there are your primary attacks, which are like 4 or 5 mana, stuff like that. It's pitiful little mana, basically the signature spells that you were talking about, and then you have spells that actually cost mana. And frogs felt like it was in between, because you couldn't spam it or you would run out of mana, but it didn't cost enough mana to make it feel like you were spending mana when you cast it. So I like that they reduced the mana cost of frogs to be more on a signature spell primary attack level.
I haven't messed with the new frogs. Of course, I never built a tank doctor either, so I know that's the number one spell for tank doctors.
Yeah, it is. You need it for the life on hit procs.
The mana cost went from 34 to 12 with Plague of Toads, so yeah. They cut it almost by a third, almost to a third.
Well, it feels like an ability that you can use all the time now. Before, it felt like an ability that you kind of had to think about before you used, but not as much as other mana-costing skills. It had its own weird place on the mana scale, but now it feels really nice.
Don't you get 45 per second as base now, mana regen?
Yes, and it's amazing.
And that costs 12 mana, so unless you can cast 4 a second, you're going to gain mana while you use it, right?
Oh, yeah. A lot of this was with the old mana regen values, where you were actually regenerating less base mana than the actual cost of that spell.
So the big controversy with Witch Doctor was the Vision Quest change, where previously it was like feast or famine, like they said. You got mega, 300% regen if you had 4 skills on cooldown, but that required you to basically spend your entire toolbar just on cooldown skills.
Yes.
And so now the total mana regen is lower than it was with Vision Quest before, but it's much easier to get very good mana regen instead of full, and you don't have to waste all your skills on Vision Quest. So did you guys immediately redo your builds and take all these cooldown spells off because you didn't need them anymore for Vision Quest?
I never used Vision Quest. I thought it was a kludge. I never really liked the way it worked. I always thought it was... I knew, not besides this is not how they wanted you to play, but it just never felt like that was the intention, was for you to run around with 4 skills on cooldown and spam zombie bears for the rest of your life. So I never really used it, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing the Witch Doctor, because I couldn't really play it the way I envisioned playing the Witch Doctor. And I hate to say that, but it's like, I always had this kind of pet summoner build that I'd always wanted from beta, that I was going to do this, and this, and, I really liked Acid Cloud, and I really liked Grasp of the Dead, but I felt like if I cast, one Acid Cloud and, one Grasp of the Dead, that was it. I was sitting there spamming poison darts for the rest of my time because I didn't have any mana for the next 20 seconds when my mana bulb filled up.
Yeah, I think the original intent and vision of Vision Quest was that if you're having to use a lot of abilities and you're really in a crunch time and, things are coming at you from all angles, you're using a lot of your cooldowns, but you're not killing them all, then it'll give you that extra little boost to help you out, not to just constantly run around with the extra mana. So I agree with you.
So are you heartbroken that you can no longer spam zombie bears?
No, I can spam zombie bears. Honestly,
you still can.
Yeah, I'm sitting at 60 mana regen, which is 3 times what I was before. And I'm having a field day. I don't feel like I feel like I can use zombie bears enough to do what they were intended to do. Not kill the butcher in 11 seconds, but do everything else that I wanted to do.
So before the patch, there were tons of complaints that the change to the procs on Wicked Wind would ruin Wizard build. And there were tons of complaints Vision Quest change would ruin the Witch Doctor Zombie Bears. And you guys are saying that neither of those has occurred and all the whining was wrong.
All the whining was wrong, honestly.
Does Blizzard know best?
No.
Well, they don't know best. Don't extrapolate that.
Yeah.
Do they know best about some things, or better at least?
I think they just know enough to not ruin things that are good currently.
And there was enough community feedback. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they were doing really fit into like what you would see. I mean, the first character I leveled to 60 was a Witch Doctor, and the first thing I did when I hit Inferno, 2 days after launch, was go to the Witch Doctor forums and say, our base mana regen sucks. I go, you need to raise it. I'm like, I can't do anything. I run around like a moron for 20 seconds after casting everything and not be able to do anything. And that was harped on over and over and over. So they just kind of listened to that and took it. So maybe they're actually starting to listen to the players instead of saying, we know best. Maybe you guys actually have an idea of what might actually work for the things that you're playing to keep you playing for longer.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. They're really paying attention, it seems, to community feedback in this game more than any of their other games.
Wasn't World of Warcraft constantly getting patched? Whatever basically got whined about the most, that was what they'd always buff?
That's whining, not suggestions, though.
Oh. It's very different when it's Diablo.
No, I mean, it was... They nerfed it. I mean, by their own admission, Jay Wilson's whole thing, okay, we did it, and then I said double it. And we just wanted to see how it would go, and then we would change it after the fact. So they kind of went into it blind anyway. If you believe their mouthpiece, Bashiok, and what he says is true.
And why wouldn't you? He's always told us the truth.
Bashiok the savior, right?
So before the patch, the opinion odds-on was far and away the Witch Doctor was going to get the best improvements. Would you guys say that's what's occurred?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most improved. I mean, if you want to give the most improved class, but it was the class that needed the most improved.
Yeah, he had the furthest to go,
right,
too.
Yeah, so it was definitely the most improved, but it was definitely needed. It puts him on par with some of the other classes, but he's still no wind-up wizard, and he's no whirlwind barb, and he's no, 150,000 DPS demon hunter, one-shot and everything either. So
yeah, I totally concur. The Witch Doctor feels a lot better than he used to. The changes, they were the best, but he still feels behind. Even like his best build, the Zombie Bears or whatever, it still doesn't feel quite as good as Whirlwind Barbs. It doesn't feel quite as good as the other, like the Demon Hunters with ridiculous damage.
Even with comparable gear.
Even with comparable gear.
Well, there are some 100,000 DPS Witch Doctors out there, and they're having a field day, because but they're not like my barb. My barb's at 80,000 DPS, and I kill faster than the 100,000 DPS Witch Doctors.
Yeah, my comparably geared barb and Witch Doctor, my Witch Doctor kills so much slower than my barb, and they're both using very big AoE DPS builds. I have no idea why. So I think the Witch Doctor still may need a little bit of help.
Or they can just nerf the barb. No one will mind that.
Well, I wouldn't care if they nerf one. I don't use it. So.
Well, you didn't use Vision Quest either. You're just weird, apparently.
Yeah. Damn it, doing my own thing.
It's not weird. Okay, it's inventive.
So last and most important of all, the Monk. We've all played a lot of Monk in 1.04, and we've really seen some improvements, right?
Oh, yes. I've played the Monk for thousands of hours since the patch came out.
Okay, so none of us played a Monk. Sorry, Monk. we will meditate upon our failures for next time. So overall, on the patch, how do you guys feel? Are you pretty happy with the change? I mean, obviously it was an improvement. Do you still feel there's needed for more fixes? Was anything they screwed up completely in the patch as far as you can tell?
I think it's a step in the right direction. I think that they're starting to, maybe take a step back from their, all-knowing egos and starting to say, maybe we don't know best, and maybe it's time that we start giving people what they want and giving people what they ask for. I mean, if you notice in this patch, there really wasn't any nerfs. I mean, besides the coefficient to whirlwind barbs. I mean, not whirlwind barbs. Wicked Wind, wind-up wizards. So it seems like it's definitely a step in the right direction. They're starting to say, okay, maybe we need to give them a little bit more. Maybe we need to modify it. Maybe the item hunt isn't enough, which I disagree with, because that's all we had in D2 was the item hunt. But maybe the D3 item hunt is not enough, and they're starting to, push us in the right direction, or we're starting to head in the right direction. I don't feel lost playing it. Let's put it that way.
I agree. It seems like when D3 came out, it had really big shoes to fill, which it did, and now it's finally starting to come into its own. Given enough time, I mean, the game's going to get better. And it seems like they're on a good track, listening to the community and making very rational decisions about changes.
Okay, guys, any last thoughts? That sounds like a really quick show, but it's been almost an hour, so...
Has it? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? You're enjoying playing? You're looking forward to playing more?
I want them to give me a reason to go back to Act 1. That's my biggest complaint right now. I'm really bored in Act 3 and 4. I want, maybe the old idea of Inferno back, where it was an even difficulty level across everything. Or give me a reason to go farm the Butcher. Give me a reason, because right now it feels like you're just stuck in one act playing, if I see the keep depths one more time, I might have to gouge my eyes out.
Well, in one of the more recent posts, he was talking about Players 8, and, they really like the idea of adjustable difficulty levels. So maybe, who knows, maybe in the future you'll get a Players 8 Act 1.
But he didn't mention those things just like hypothetical, wouldn't this be funny? It's like we're working on this and this may be actually happening pretty soon. So
yeah, it'll probably happen in the PvP patch, I'm guessing.
Which will be in the immediate soon.
This year, didn't they say this year? That was a problem.
Well, they said if it wasn't this year to be a disaster, but we've seen a lot of disasters in Diablo 3, so that's not that doesn't rule it out, does it?
2009 was a pretty big disaster, right? Well, let's hope we see some more information about it sometime soon. At least, acknowledging, hey, we're on track to release this year.
Yeah. Oh, one of the other things, too, is, and this might be apophenia, but it feels like they buff the followers' AI and abilities. Like when my Enchantress uses Confuse, the mob, instead of sitting there like an idiot, will actually walk halfway across the screen to go attack something else now.
I have noticed changes on the pet AI that it seems like they're attacking more high-priority targets and more things that I would be attacking.
Or is it just now they live long enough to attack anything?
Oh, that could be the case, honestly. I don't know for sure.
Okay, guys, thanks for the show. That was a quick one, and we're done. You've been listening to the Diablo Podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. Moo.
Moo.